Poinsettia is a plant which often makes an appearance at Christmas time. It has these colourful bracts. They're not petals, they're called bracts, and they come in dark red or a creamy colour or a pink, and I'm going to do a little painting of one. But what I'm going to start with is in fact the centre. The centre has sort of little white stamens, little green seeds, and I'm just going to mark up some little round points that will give me a starting point for the plant. And I'm going to actually bring out some green bits which then go into the bracts, because they start off a sort of greeny colour and then they turn whatever the plant colour is going to be. So we'll just make a few starters just to get me going. Okay, then I'm going to rinse off that brush. That was just some green in my palette, and I'm going to start putting some petal marks in. And I'm using Scarlet Lake, but I'm using it very thin, very watered down, because I will then go on top and make deeper colours to make the shape of the bract. So I'm using, for those who want to know, number 10 brush. And I'm not worried about any bleeding from the green, because you can in fact see some of the green in some of the petals. And they're often smaller in the centre, and then they get a bit bigger on the outside. See, the colour is running out of my brush now, but I'm not fussed about it, because we want to get some variation for the different shapes of the petals. Some of them are just straight like that, just sort of petal shaped like that, but then when they get bigger they sort of go into this other shape, so there's sort of like a bit of a point. Now quickly going over there, because I didn't want that hard edge as I had outlined. Okay, we need to get a bit more pigment now. And I'm going to have quite a big one here. They're really quite easy to do in a way that none of the petals are uniform. It's not like some plants where it's all symmetrical. They're quite variant, so to speak. I'm leaving little white gaps between the bracts, simply so I can see where I am to get the sort of shape that I want. We'll have a big one here, and I need to go back for some paint. Now that's very dark, so let's get it spread out quickly. And I'm making go sort of half of that bract, and then I'll come and do the other half. Just add a bit more water. So you're starting to get the idea of the shape, really quite random in lots of ways. And the leaves are in fact the same shape as the bracts, which we will put in shortly. I'm just going to put another petal in here, bract rather, and then I'm going to do a leaf. What's in my palette? I'm going to come out here and make my leaf shape. and we can have another leaf just coming out here. You'll notice I haven't done any pencil. I just wanted to make this a really easy, well, easy might not be the word, but just to make it a loose, a fluid, a spontaneous. I know some of you find this sort of thing tricky, so it will be good for some of you to have a go. Right, okay, I think I'm quite happy with that. What I'm going to do, however, is just put some sort of stalk arrangement in. That's not the right green, but it'll do for now. I'm also going to just put a few bits of green, because you do see it on the bracts, because they start off green. So you just need to just put as you wish. But if you can get hold of a real one, or have a look on the internet or in a book or something, you'll get an idea of what they're like. And we'll put a bit more green in parts of this. The veins are lighter, they're a sort of a lime green, but we're just going to put some shapes in. As I often say with the flora, the trees and things I do, it's not a botanical drawing, so don't get all uptight about it being perfect. But hopefully by the end of this people will understand that it's a poinsettia. Just put a bit of green in there, a bit more, and in the centre here it's a yellowy colour, the little, don't know what you call it, stamen or whatever. Just drop that in there. Now we can come back and we can do a little bit more reds, and I'm going to put more red under here because this bract is in shadow of the one above. And I'm also going to just, still using this number 10 brush, it's got quite a nice point. And then just wet it off and just soften that out. Just let it flow. And the same in here, that's in the dark there. And just pull some of that colour out. And put a bit in here. Remember, most of the colour is in the tip of the brush, because that's how I put it onto the pan. So if you just press down, you're going to get that intense bit of colour from the tip. Now we need to balance that out. Giving me an interesting effect, so we'll go with that. And seldom are they all exactly the same even colour. That's my excuse anyway. Just soften those veins out, they're a bit severe. bit darker in there. And let's put a little bit more on that tip there, so this is a sort of a pinky red one. And we need some darker green. Just under here. Push that into shadow, and the same here. Again, note how I'm using the point of the brush. Not only is the brush doing the work for me, it's also, that's where the most intense colour is in the tip. And we'll just make a few shades of these veined areas. And there's actually some little sort of stems coming out there, and I'm just going to, now I didn't rinse that brush, it's still got some green on it, which is okay because it's giving me that nice darker red which will give me the veins on these bracts. Let's just put a few in. It bleed out, I'm not that bothered. Well, I think that's rather fun actually. So for a rather spontaneous poinsettia, if you could scale that down, that's a bit big for a card, but there you go. One fairly straightforward poinsettia. Don't overthink it. That's often what causes a lot of problems. I've just gone into this really quite blind. Okay, you're going to say, well, it's all right for you, Nicola, you've been doing it for years. But, you know, if you don't push yourself occasionally and just say, okay, just do it, don't overthink it, you're not going to really break out and go further on, you know, to grow. Now, that there is just far too strong for me. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just put a bit of corresponding red there, just to sort of balance it out a little bit. In fact, I might be able to lift some out. Yeah. And these petals, these bracts rather, aren't smooth, they're really quite textured, so doing something like that is fine, and I'll do that there as well. So I hope that's helped you, and going to encourage you to do one of your own.